fuel depots have yet to comply with the directive issued by the National Petroleum Authority to reduce the temperature at the loading bays to 20 degrees Celsius. This, according to the oil marketing companies and tanker drivers union, is causing them financial loss and are charging the NPA to ensure strict compliance of that directive by the depots. The NPA in November 2019 held a meeting between all the stakeholders to address concerns raised by tanker drivers and the oil marketing companies of the continuous shortage of petroleum products when discharged into the ground tanks, the underground tanks. The NPA put a loss control team together to resolve this issue affecting numerous fuel stations and dealers across the country. But depots continue to deliver products to dealers and fuel stations at between 28 to 32 degrees Celsius, which leaves losses in the system. The oil marketing companies can simply not take this anymore. Speaking to my colleague Emmanuel Ante, president of the oil marketing companies, Commodore Mensah, charged the NPA to ensure compliance at the fuel depots.
We've been expecting the depots to comply. Unfortunately, they are dragging their feet. And meanwhile, we, the retailers, we are being shortchanged in the process. What does this mean? By international standards, fuels are loaded at 15 degrees. But by the time they are loading, they load some at 30 degrees Celsius. When this product gets to us and we put it in the underground tank, the temperature drops. And of course, the volume also drops. In the past, we were blaming the tanker drivers for under-delivering. But the NPA, being the regulator of the industry, thought it wise to come out with this revision in the manual, asking the depots to load at 20. So that if there will be, by the time we get, we will not have any problem. As to why the depot keepers are dragging their feet, I don't know. But let me say that there's a limit to the endurance of my people. We, the retailers, cannot continue to suffer these losses. You are talking of money. You are talking of money. You are talking of money. And if they are losing, some of them will be tempted to do things which will not be satisfactory to break even. So please, the depots, if they are listening to me, let them comply with the NPA directive. The NPA should crack the whip. The NPA should crack the whip and force the depots to comply. The manual is a law now. It's a legislative instrument. So you and I do not have the option of not complying. If it were any OMC, any retailer that has infringed on the rules, I'm sure by now the NPA would have descended on us heavily. But why they are not able to do it, I don't know.
Commodore Mensah there. Well, the Fuel Tanker Drivers Union, led by their chairman, George Nwanu, is threatening to boycott fuel depots in the coming days if they fail to comply with the directive to reduce the loading pressure at depots to 20 degrees Celsius.
Looking forward that any of the depots who can comply, who started complying, will start loading from them. So the depots are many now, it's competitive. So if you are not able to comply, and then even if you are not doing it, you don't have the loading compensating meter, and you cannot convert it, okay, to 20 degrees, that means the drivers will not come to your depot and load. Once it's a national issue, okay, instruction given by the authority that all the stakeholders should comply. If they are not complying, that means you are not ready to serve. So we will not come and load from your depot to go and discharge at a loss. This is a short level. If they don't, then we will stop loading from the depots. That means the country will run as loss. So we don't want that to happen. Everybody is looking at drivers as thieves, and we are siphoning. But the depots are giving us short delivery. All right, because you can't receive the product into the country at a temperature of 15 degrees Celsius and then loaded as at 32, 34, 30. And these are the things that we are complaining way back. And today it has come. and the regulator realized that what we are saying is true, all right, and then they have implemented it that all of us should use as stakeholders. So it's up to the depots to wake up and then comply. If they don't, for that matter, I can assure you, yes. If they don't, then we advise ourselves, because we can't continue losing our drivers, our trained drivers in the industry just like that. No. Yes, the injustices that I think our drivers has gone through is our transporters, they bought the truck for us, all right? So they don't drive the truck, we drive the truck. So after every delivery, if there's a shortage, okay, the OMC that we loaded from bill the shortage against the transporter. Then the transporter also bill you, the driver who drive the truck, okay? And that is the injustice. Sometimes the transporter, for instance, I have a WB here. I have an invoice here which shows that there's shortage of 350 liters. So local, that is Accra. So these 350 liters, when it is calculated in liters, is amounted to 1,800 and something Ghana cedis. That is one trip. All right, and the driver's salary at the end of the month is 1,700. So assuming the driver made a trip of 4 in a month with these shortages by 4, all right, and you are earning 1,700. So apparently the transporter will arrest you. He will take you to police station, and those are the victims that our drivers have been falling into it. You get the point. And then we want to stay away from all those things.
Well, the depots, it's alleged that the depots collectively make in excess of 700,000 cedis daily from this temperature variation and are unwilling to do the necessary adjustments, whilst the dealers also continue to complain. Chamber of Petroleum Consumers COPEC is also threatening to sue against the depots if they fail to comply by the end of this week. Here is the Executive Director of COPEC, Duncan Amwa.
We are very much appalled by the way the depots are actually treating the dealers. And as you probably are rightfully aware, once these dealers don't get the right quantity of supplies and they are shortchanged, then you leave some of them very little option but to play all kinds of games with the consumer or the end user. And so we think that once the NPA Loss Control Manual says move to 20 degrees and convert everything you load to 20 degrees so you bill them for it, I think it is the right way to go. I do not know why the depots would at this point continue to flout that instruction by the NPA. And then again, once this is not being carried through, we do know that some of these depots are making as much as hundreds of thousands of Ghana cedis every single day. If you put them together, you are looking at in excess of 100,000 Ghana, 1 million almost every single day in savings they make from this temperature conversion. We are saying that if every 10-degree variance is 1% product, and at the end of the month, Ghana would have consumed about 340 million, 350 million. Look at 1% of 340, 350 million. That's about 3.4, 3.5 million worth of products. If you multiply that by the current market figures, you are looking at almost 20, 30 million Ghana cedis that is being left at these depots. And we think that the dealers cannot continue to bear these costs. At the end of the day, they are forced to pass it on to the unsuspecting customer. And we think that the NPA should move in quickly and ensure that this directive is complied with immediately. A week after, nothing is being done.
So if nothing is done, what next?
Once the Loss Control Manual is clear, we'll be forced to take these depots on to court. Because what it means is that pressure on one side would invariably end up with a trotro driver who probably doesn't have any idea, would end up with the unsuspecting public. And so we think that once the NPA Loss Control Manual is clear and explicit, that convert everything to 20 degrees whilst delivering or serving these dealers, make sure you just do, that you're able to supply the mines at 15 degrees. That you have no problem with. Supply dealers at 20, you are failing to comply. That clearly cannot be allowed to continue. And we are saying that if by close of this week, we do not get any indication that they have done so, we'll drag all of them to court for stealing from all of us.